Neqotkuk N'Tetli Mikwi Tahasoltipen. Too big we are remembering.
My name is Shelby Beaatz. I go by the name of Beaatz. I'm from Neqotkuk First Nation. I'm Maliseet, Mohawk, Passamaquoddy, Micmac. When I was 13, 14, I got sent away to Woodstock for, I'd say, a couple of years. And in that time frame, I was just really alone, I felt like in that time. So I tried to really write a lot of poetry. Because I feel like for me, it wasn't easy to talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know how people have their outlets and who they can speak to and feel comfortable with? I never had that. So I always felt the need to just write. I started to take those things that I was writing and trying to apply them to music. So it's like, I feel like that was like my first introduction to writing. As far as music, it goes back, I'd say the 90s with my brothers, you know. I'm the youngest of 4 boys, so my introduction to music was in the 90s, hip hop, but I feel like my start was that, being sent away and just being secluded with my own thoughts, I feel. That's where I started. I wouldn't say that I was good at the time, but I put my best foot forward, and I just eventually just got better and better over the years. I feel like the trials and tribulations of what led me to this position that I was in kind of got me to where I am today. You know what I mean, in a sense? So it's almost like everything that I went through was I don't know. I feel like, the pain is because I was just such a kid, like a relentless kid that just didn't listen to nobody. So I feel like that's kind of why I was alone in most sense, was that I was just my own person, and I just never was able to express my emotions to people easily. So I feel like, the pain, everything I went through leading up to that got me to that situation. Sometimes I sit back and wonder, how do I do it? And then I always get questioned that a lot, how do you do what you do? Because for me, when I write, I don't write on paper. I just write everything in my head, and it's memorized. So it's I never wrote on paper to read my lyrics. So I write, walk back and forth, just write in my head. But what inspires me, I'd say, my family, my daughter. I feel like my daughter's my everything. She's the one that kept me going throughout these years, right? So I'd say my daughter, my fiance, my family. But most importantly, my reserve. Neqotkuk is, my roots. So it's it was overwhelming. So you almost had to live up to this reputation that was, that you had. And I don't feel like there's as much pressure anymore as opposed to what there was. But I feel like, the pressure is more or less within myself, that I put on myself. Because I feel like my reserve knows that I represent my reserve and my people the best of my ability within my music. So I don't feel like it's much of a pressure to really have to meet any expectations, Just do what I love and just make the music you want to make and the content you want to make. I don't think I'd be here without the people in Neqotkuk that supported me from day one. And it's I feel like there's more than just the people that support me musically. It's there's a lot that, going into my studio, all the people that's been in and out of there, just heard things that no one's heard, and just the support. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's a beautiful thing, honestly, for just to be from Neqotkuk and just to make it, and to be that person that said, I did that, and look back on those accomplishments. I say it's just, it's an inspiration in itself, honestly. So this year will be 10 years since we became an official, industry ready group. So just say it. The awards, really, the tours, the shows. I feel like the hard work is just, a lot of people don't realize what's put into the scene, put into behind the scenes. So it's I don't know, I just feel like those awards are everything. Because I feel like in 2014, 15, I'd say we won 8 awards in those 2 years. So it was that run for those 2 years were insane. And we toured Canada. We were the first Indigenous artists to tour Canada, every city. So it was that was probably the biggest, I'd say, accomplishment for us. Something that's notable, But I'd say those things, the awards and the shows, and the big shows that obviously we've done, those are the most notable of my career. Native people really have your back. It doesn't matter if I'm from the East Coast or I'm from the West Coast. I can go to the West Coast. I can go to BC or Alberta and still get that same love, you know, due to the fact that you're indigenous. You know, I don't feel like it's much of a competition because, I mean, I feel like as an indigenous artist, I just want to see all indigenous artists win, you know, like, that's just what you want and what you know, you hope for as an indigenous artist. Not just yourself, but this morning I was with my wife and we were looking at all my albums that I made in 2013. And I made like 100 songs in like 2 years. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just the amount of work that how hungry I was at the time. Mind you, it's like, when you want something bad enough, you're gonna work your ass off day in, day night. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of work. And I feel like now, it's not necessarily I'm not doing the amount of work, it's just that it comes easier to me now that I have it. You know what I mean? I have the establishment, I have the notoriety. You know what I mean? I've been established for so many years that it's not as hard to get your foot in the door somewhere, you know, or if you want to do a show or and the relationships too, you know, like I have those now and I didn't have those before. So I feel like now it's a little smoother as opposed to before because I was just so hungry. I was like every day, all night and day. That's why I made the song like Straight Chiefin', because I was in my room at like 4 in the morning thinking it's like the weekend, everybody's drinking, I'm here working while everybody's like, you know, sleeping. So it's like that was the epitome of my upbringing in my career. Everybody has a different way of doing things, right? And I feel like I'm a very creative person, so it's like, now, like, I don't really write anything until I have something, and I don't come in it with an idea. Like most artists will be like, okay, this is what we're writing about, this is how we're gonna approach it. Like, nah, I'm not like that. My thing is like just coming up with melodies, rhythms, you know, in my head, just thinking of things, and I try to like do a chorus really quick. And that's another part too, is that my process, so let me take it back a little bit. It's more like, when I started, nobody wanted to give me beats. Nobody wanted to be like, you know, here's you know, beats that can get you. Instead of going online and finding them, I was at the point I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. So I'm gonna teach myself how to make beats since nobody wants to, you know, like work with me, you know? And it wasn't like they didn't want to work, but they wanted to make money too, right? I'm not paying for that when you first start out. So I taught myself how to make beats, which, you know, I perfected pretty quickly. And I feel like once I did that, I started being like, okay, well, I want a chorus, something that's like, somebody's gonna sing, but I obviously I couldn't sing. So I just started trying. Like I just thrown it out there and it just, I don't know, my voice kind of like, I molded it a certain way to where it like fits, but it's not like you're singing. It's almost like you're harmonizing. So it's like, I'd say finding the right beat for me is everything. And I'll go through hundreds and hundreds until I know it's the one, like you feel it. Let's say hypothetically, I found the one right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get up, repeat it, I'll put it on a loop, and I'll walk back and forth, and then I'll have like I'd say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'll have like a full 16 bar verse done in my head. So I usually just right then and then copy it over to like my software and then just record it, mix it. Really, like seriously, my process is so fast. It's like, I record my vocals, I mix everything, and then boom, it can go online, you know, today if I wanted to. So it's like, it's quite a process, but like I said, everybody has their own way of doing things, but I feel like mine's my way, you know. And even for the boys in City Natives, it's like, you know, they know how I work, so it's like they're working around like my creative approach, because like I usually do every chorus, you know what I mean. I start every song, so it's like they kind of feed off of me in a sense, you know, which is what you want in a group. A lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes, right? Because like there's a lot as far as money goes, bookends, like albums. Like I said, it all stems back to relationships, knowing people. I feel like it's key. Knowing people and maintaining those relationships are everything. So I feel like what they do is, first of all, not only do they bring like that creative side as well to City Natives, but we all have a different style and sort of a different dynamic. So it's like, I feel like you're getting like 3 different, you know, shades of a color when you hear a song, you know what I mean, in a sense. So it's like, I feel like Blake has something different to offer than Brandon does. I have something different to offer. But it's like, behind the scenes, a lot goes into grants. A lot goes into, you know, just a lot of planning, a lot of bookings. So I'd say they have just as much to offer as me, if not more, you know, in their own right. We've been self-managed since day one.
Wow.
So to achieve all this without a manager has been like insane. But then it comes with a price too, where it's like you're overloaded. So it's almost like you start getting stressed, and obviously with group work, you know, it's not easy to find level ground, you know what I mean, and all stay in the same place. But I feel like, yeah, just being self-managed for this many years has obviously allowed us to get to where we are. But I feel like with a manager and like more of like a backing, I feel like it'd be a little more complex and more like, you know what I mean, like more industry ready, I'd say. But yeah, doing this for many years, it's been insane. It's been tough. It's been stressful, but I wouldn't change it for the world because it's given me all these experiences and memories, right? Honestly, I'll forever say Straight Chiefin'. It's probably the most iconic song. Performing it live is crazy because when you're performing it, people know the lyrics. And that's why I wrote that chorus, because it's simple and it's gonna stay in your head. It's like, you know, it's so catchy, but it's like when you're on stage and you just feel people yelling it back to you, working while you're sleeping, riding through the city, straight chiefin'. It's like, I wrote that, and it's just such a beautiful feeling. But I feel like there's a lot of records, if I'm being honest, but that's the one that gets me like excited every time I play it. A lot of people don't realize, and it's been like under the radar, is that I took such a long break for my own mental health, and I feel like that was the most important thing I could have done. Because in the moment with City Natives, I wasn't there. I wasn't mentally in the place I should have been. So taking a step back really helped me like figure out what I wanted, who I needed to be. You know what I mean? So I took that time for myself, and to come back. And the boys always said, you know, take time for yourself. Don't feel like, you know, you don't have a place here, because I'll always have a place in City Natives. It's part of my identity, right? So I came back, and thankfully it was so weaving together so perfectly. For the Junos, it was an ambassador tour. So they were taking, from every province in the East Coast, they were taking 5 acts so to perform in each city, and they picked the best act that night. So thankfully for us, we won in Fredericton, and we got invited to go to Junos. So that's huge, you know. And then obviously, you know, the biggest thing in my life is the Ice Cube show coming up. So it's like, that, I remember like I was on vacation in Dominican on my birthday, not on Halloween, and the boys called me, and I was like, why would they be calling me for? And they called me, and I'm like, man, the biggest news. And that was like the biggest news of my life, you know. And it's because the reason why it's so like I'm blown away by it, because it's a full circle moment in my life. Because when I was 15, I got pulled on stage at the Harbor Station at the Game concert. And that's the same stage I'm gonna be performing on. You know what I mean? So it's like a full circle moment in life. So I'd say just the shows are like, I'd say in a sense they're well deserved, because we've been working so hard for these and the opportunities. So I feel like it's the hard work, really. It's the hard work that people recognize, and they realize like, who's working harder than these guys right now? Why would we give somebody else the opportunity? So I'm obviously thankful for the people we know and things that we've done, but I'm just forever grateful for these opportunities, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the boys. So yeah, looking forward to it all. Especially this year. Like this year, I can promise you right now, 2024 is going to be the biggest year of my life, our lives, and I'm anxious for it, honestly. That's why doing this is fun, because I'm going to be able to look back on this and be like, told you. Like it still like puts a smile on my face, because like I'm just a kid from Tobic, you know what I mean? Like it could be anybody in this province, you know what I mean? It could be anybody. But it's us, and it's just one of the biggest, like you know what I mean? Like a 13-year-old me would have been like, yeah, right, that'll never happen, you know. But now it's like it's a thing, and it's happening. So I'm pretty excited about that. Stemming back to where it started was that when I first started making music, when I came home from being sent away, to be honest, like Brandon's always been a family friend, but I've never like hung out with him because he's always been older than me, like he's my brother's age. So this was MySpace days, I started getting a hold of Blake, which is Blake Francis, and he's the one that got me in contact with Brandon, and was like, yo, you gotta go see Brandon. I went over to Brandon's, and then like we just started making music every day, and it was like our relationship was just music, making music, you know, every day. And then eventually, I don't know what happened, but I was in Nova Scotia, and I was seeing somebody at this time, and I was at her house, and I was sitting there, and he calls me at like 12 o'clock at night, and answered the phone. He's like, man, I just had a dream. Like we're on this huge stage, and like there was a screen behind us that said City Natives. And like there was me, you, Blake, and Gerald. And I was like, I hate that name for one. You know what I mean? Because I'm from the res, dog. I'm not no city native. But he was just telling me, like, he broke it down where he's like, yo, bro, look at it this way. Look at it where you're like, you were never supposed to make it off the reservation and succeed in the city. So once he defined that for me, where it was like, okay, that makes so much sense because I'm not supposed to be in the city doing big shows or doing big things. So when he told me the idea, I was like, you know, I'm here for it. Automatically, I'm here for it. Because first of all, they're three of my best friends, you know what I mean? But we just always made music together for years. Just like me collaborating with Gerald or with Blake or with Brandon. But eventually we're just like, Brandon's like, all four of us from different, you know, parts of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, you know, it could be huge. And I was like, I'm for it. Right away, created like our Instagram, our friggin' Facebook page. And it just gradually grew really quick. But the reason of us creating City Nails was just to win an ECMA. That was all it was. It's like, you know, like, we can't do it as just us because, you know, we're not known enough. But if you put four of us together, that's never been done in, you know, the Atlantic Canada. Like, let's do it, put us together, and just go for an ECMA. And we got nominated that first year. I never won. We never won it, but I mean, it was like it was a lesson learned from like how to approach things. And I think like that approach got us in the industry, like one foot in the door. Okay, now we know what it's like. Then the next year we go and I make our whole debut album in my room in Tobin. And then I submitted for ECMAs and we won that year. So it's like, and every year we won it. Again, every album won. So it's like, it's just a track, you know, just repetitive. But then we started being like, you know, like we're more than just indigenous artists, you know, like we're rappers, we're hip hop artists. Why not put us in the rap hip hop category? Because we didn't want to take away from future artists that were coming up and trying to get that award. You know what I mean? And it's like, why am I taking away from the next person? I won that award 5 times, 6 times. We just wanted it to be bigger than what it was, right? The name, like we wanted CNAs to be bigger than just being indigenous. It's more than that, right? The reason why I said that earlier was like, this is gonna be the biggest year of our lives. It's just because of the music that we're doing. I feel like I just made an album, you know, I don't remember what it was, October. I made that last album with CNAs, I made that in like 4 days. And I made that so quick, but now it's like we're shooting videos for that album, and then we're making singles with big producers. So it's like, I mean, I can't disclose a lot, but I would say it's just to look out for the music, because the music's gradually gonna change. Like, it's not gonna be your heavy hip hop beats anymore. Like on an album, yes, but like as far as commercial success goes, we're trying to tap more into like the radio and do more things that reach a broader audience. I wouldn't say it's gonna change gradually. I just say we're gonna take different approaches all year, and just the shows. I feel like the shows are just gonna keep coming. You know, touring. You know, our big thing is touring overseas. So like that's like, it could happen this year. It could happen next year. What would you leave for the next generation or something? I just say don't lose sight of the vision. Work hard. Don't forget who you are, especially. That's the one thing I carry with myself is don't forget who you are. And most importantly, just don't forget where you came from. Because those are your roots. It's a part of your story. It's a part of who you are. It's your identity. And those people are ultimately who got you to where you are. So if there's anything that I took from my career, it's that. It's just work hard. Don't forget where you came from and forget who you are. So that's what I would leave. Honestly, it's quality advice. I mean, it's got me to where I am today.
Neqotkuk N'Tetli Mikwi Tahasoltipen. Too big we are remembering.